Hello, Leo Dreger here. I want to talk about a follow-up video that I did with syslog and installing syslog. And I wanted to extend this video into kind of logging in general, or how do you do logging on a Unix system, and to look at a couple of the different components. So one of the things that we can do if we have our syslog installed on the system is look at the configuration file. So to do this, we're going to change directories to the etc directory, and then less rsyslog.conf. Okay, and in here is basically all of the setup or configuration information to how this is exactly set on your system. Anything with a pound sign is a comment, so you can see things like, here's exactly where the directions are, basically, or the documentation. Where something like this, or if it begins with a $sign or just a statement, that's basically a configurable setting. So you can go through here and get familiar with the document, things like rules, and learn that, hey, there's var log authorization log, var log syslog, var log cron, and then you can view some of these settings. So what I'm going to do is kind of split window here just to show you some of the differences. So if you want to look in the authorization log, you could do a less var log auth.log if it exists. So here's your authentication log, and you can see the Unix PAM indexes would be in here, and basically read that log file. Okay, so we'll exit out of that. You can see the cron log, cron.log. Okay, in this case it doesn't exist. And you can always double check the directories, just make sure I get all these correct. Less var log kern.log. Okay, so here's a kernel log. You can see all of the files in that. And I want you guys to get familiar with these as well. So var log mail.log, this would be the mail for the system. You can see that there is none, and I don't have it set up. Or user.log, okay, and you can see, here you go, what's in that log file. All right, so that's an easy way to check a handful of the settings just by looking inside of the configuration file. So that's our syslog. Next, you can do syslog-ng.conf, okay, or locate syslog-ng and see if and where that's located on your system specifically. So in this case, I have our syslog as opposed to syslog-ng specifically. So let's look at a couple of the other different locations. So let's do a less var log messages. Okay, notice the consistency here with the var log directory. And in here you can see, date, timestamps, the host, this comes from myself, localhost, the kernel, the log source, if it's located. And go through and you kind of see a pattern. So here's the localhost column, here's the kernel column, and then you kind of can scroll through here. I got some BIOS and some memory checks in here, some hypervisor entries for VMware, some memory mapping from ACPI settings. And you can go through and get familiar with this. Also, one of the things that I would point out here is that you can actually combine this with something like grep. So if you just want to look in that specific log file for something like kernel, you can grep it to kernel, and only entries with kernel in them will come down. Or if you had a specific system, like in this case localhost, just show me all of the localhost entries. Or for example, maybe I just wanted something from January. Right, I could do that, and boom, all of the January entries would come down. Okay, so that's how to kind of find things in the var log messages. Okay, other areas in which you can do here is you can do a less for var log debug. Okay. All right, this will show you debugging information or if you have any system problems. And again, it kind of reads the same way. Okay, so you get the idea. So that was var log debug. And you can go through, like if we just change directories to var log, what's in here. Okay, so just change directories to var log, did an ls, and you can see the different types of entries and what's in there. Open vaz to nginx to news to samba, to maybe something like HTTPD for the web server logs, mail errors, information warnings, MySQL. Okay, so pretty much everything gets stored right here in var log, and that is a great place to spend your time when you approach this from the authorization point of view. If you want to view log entries as they happen, though, you might want to try something like tail with the tac f var log messages. Okay, and just let that kind of sit there, and this will basically put this in a mode so as they happen, new errors and entries will trickle in. Okay, other things that you can do here that will really help you from a log file analysis point of view is grep whatever you want for. So I'm going to grep for the kernel in a specific directory like var log messages. All right, and then do a pipe more on here so that I get one string at a time. And that will show you how to just pull all those kernel entries down. And again, this would be specific to a system, a timestamp, a kernel, or whatever you want. If I wanted to just pick out a weird word in here like BIOS, okay, let's clear out of that, clear your screen. And it is case sensitive, so just BIOS. Okay, boom, there's all of the BIOS entries, and then I can really dig down and just look at some of the specifics. All right, so that'll help you out. Other things you can do here, more for var log messages. Okay, and just basically shows you something slightly different. You can Google or easily find what the difference is between the head, the tail, the more, and the less command, and things like that. So I'm not going to cover that specifically in this video. If you kind of take a step back from the whole, okay, let's get out of the log files for a second, just look at things in terms of services. If there's like, for example, a netstat service, or I'm sorry, syslog service that started, we could do a netstat-a and then grep that for syslog. Okay, and that would show us what running services or what network statistics we have for those particular services. So in this case, I don't have it running because it just came back empty. But that's my point is you can combine them with other utilities like netstat and then combine it with grep syslog. So that's something that I typically use every now and again. Let's see. There's also log rotating options for log file analysis. So if we go back, change directories to etc, and then do an ls star log star, okay. So that's basically list the directories or everything that begins with log. You can see login definitions, log rotation configuration file, and then the rsyslog configuration file right there. So let's go look in log rotate. So just do a less log rotate.conf. And notice I use my tab to kind of autocomplete so I don't have to worry about spelling. And I'll go ahead and get in here. And okay, rotate the log files weekly, keep 4 weeks worth of log files, create new log files after rotating your old ones out. And so this is, and it's pretty self-explanatory. You just look for, whatever doesn't have a pound sign in here, and it'll give you an idea of how log rotation on that system is set up. So that's something that we typically cover in any one of the courses like CISSP and things like that. I'm just showing you the technical how-to component, okay? So this log rotation configuration, and there's realistically a daemon that goes along with that, but we're not going to cover that here in this video. If you wanted to activate the log rotation, you could just do a log rotate with a -F. And if you want, you could even set it specifically to like syslog or something else by doing, etc log rotate.daemon and then syslog in itself, and that'll set up log rotation specifically for syslog. Other things that I would do if I was kind of taking the administrator's approach here is you could do an ls var log messages and then add an asterisk at the end of that, okay, and that'll show you any variants of that. So let's say you've got messages.1, .2, .3, .4, .5, and they're compressed or not. You could see that by basically doing a command like this. And then you could actually go in and maybe do something like a zcat utility and then var log messages.1.gz if and so that exists. Otherwise, if you wanted to look specifically more syslog, you could do a man syslog-ng.conf, right? And that'll show you the manual side for how to actually set up the syslog specific parameters. And that's something that you're probably going to do, a few times in the beginning with actually setting up the syslog service to accept your logs. If you wanted to install this, there's stuff just in terms of installing syslog. There's many different types of ways that you could do this. You could do RPMs, you could do yum, or you can do the classic apt, get, or any one of those. And these are easily found out on how to do that if you just search the internet. So that's kind of like basic log file analysis with a follow-up to our, how do you install this point of view. In the point of view, again, is, of course, holding people accountable or auditing or logging, in this case, specifically on a Unix system. So in the forensics world, remember in my introduction video, I said that you have to be the expert beyond the experts. So you have to know how to do this on Windows systems. You have to know how to do it on Unix systems. You have to know different types of logging applications like rsyslog versus syslog-ng versus a Kiwi syslog server and things like that. So all of this is building upon your ability to forensically approach networks and basically get in there, find out what you need, and evaluate those systems so that you can track down whatever needs to be tracked down, etc., etc. So thanks for watching. Be sure to comment and post in the dialogue boxes and discussions in the forums because I'm actively looking for you guys to participate and give us feedback and things like that.